So you text them and they don't reply. The group chat is silent. You start spiraling. Did I annoy them? Am I too much? Am I clingy? What happened at our last hangout? If you constantly feel left out, clingy, or like you're too much in friendships, you are probably not the problem. You probably just have anxious attachment, and it shows up in friendships as well. In this video, we're gonna have 3 main chapters. The first one is what anxious attachment actually looks like in friendships, since most of the attachment videos are about like romantic relationships. Number 2 is where it comes from and how it's actually not your fault. And then number 3 is how you are actually going to start healing this and fixing it, being calmer in your friendship. If you don't know me, guys, my name is Neethi. I am your everything older sister, brown girl. We talk about dating, confidence, a lot of attachment. I work in mental health research, so everything that I say is backed in experience and research. Chapter number 1, what anxious attachment in friendships actually looks like. So of course, like if you know anything about what anxious attachment is, it is a thinking pattern, an anxiety spiral that occurs, and it usually happens with like romantic partners, like with boyfriends, with girlfriends. You'll see a lot of videos about this, but it can actually be in friendships too, and I myself have been through this. It's like a very unique experience. So to find out if you're anxiously attached in your friendships, think of if you do any of these things. Do you overthink texts that you send to your friends and need constant reassurance that your friends are still there? Do you feel really hurt if your friends hang out with other people and they don't invite you? Do you read into small things like shifts in people's tones, response time of group chats, canceled plans? Do you always feel like you care more about your friends than they care about you? That's a big one. Do you have a fear of abandonment, a fear of getting replaced, a fear of being forgotten? Like they might just move on and forget about you and you could not be included anymore. And do you feel like you constantly have to be useful to kind of like earn your place in that friendship group or with that specific friend? Like you need to be providing something in order to be a valuable friend to this group. Do any of these sound like you? You could also be doing things like replaying conversations in your head over and over and over after you like hang out with your friend. Do you kind of feel low-key a little bit jealous when your friend like makes another close friend? All of these are signs that you could have anxious attachment in friendships, and that is why you are never feeling fully validated or fully content in the friendships that you have right now, or you feel like you're always chasing friends, or you just can't make genuine friends. We are going to learn about what this pattern is, how to heal it, and also how to make genuine friendships, because I think that that is such an important part of life. This takes us to chapter number 2, which is anxious attachment in friendships and where it comes from. Anxious attachment in friendships doesn't come from being desperate or being annoying or being needy. It comes from just wanting to be emotionally safe. That is what I'm emphasizing when I say that it's not your fault. So just like anxious attachment with romantic relationships, I'll give you a brief psychological overview, but you basically had an inconsistent parent or both parents in your life that may have not always felt emotionally safe to you. Either as a baby, you didn't know if they would always be there for you, you didn't know if your feelings would always be validated, you didn't always feel like maybe you were heard, and it was kind of inconsistent in the sense of like sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't get it. And so since it was never consistent, you were always kind of on alert or anxious about like, when will I get this feeling of emotional safety with my parent next? Am I going to get it today? Am I not going to get it today? And so you're always kind of on edge. Your nervous system was always on high alert. Therefore, you developed this anxiety around emotional safety in close relationships. You often could have felt like you had to perform in order to be good enough. Like, I feel emotional safety and I feel loved when I like get certain grades on my report card. If I'm a super perfect child, you know, then I feel emotionally safe because then my parents say that they like me or they act like it. Also, just people-pleasing tendencies. This is where people-pleasing comes from, and just like having to be like a really good child or act a certain way in order to feel loved and appreciated, or just like safe with your parents. There's a lot of internalized messaging that goes into your subconscious because of the way that you were brought up or because of these things in your childhood. And let me just emphasize that a lot of these things you might not even remember. Some internalized messages that you could have are, if I'm not useful, I could be abandoned, you know, and that's like where like the performance need comes from. And if they don't constantly reassure me, they must hate me. And this is because you didn't know that your parents just love you and they always will be there for you and you're just like emotionally safe with them. So therefore, any slight change in how they act towards you, or if you're not getting the constant reassurance from them that they love you and they're there for you, you just assume that it's not going to be there for your own kind of defense mechanism in your own safety. So that is kind of like what happened in your childhood. And then, like I've said in many other videos, what happens in your childhood and what you've learned about close relationships can then extend. Often the examples that we're given is that it extends to romantic relationships, but this can actually also extend to friendships. Both friendships and romantic partners, like a boyfriend or girlfriend, a husband or wife, that kind of stuff, are deep, emotionally intimate connections. So although you might be thinking, oh my god, to have anxious attachment in friendships is like, that's so extra, like what do you mean? A friendship is a deep, emotionally intimate relationship in your life. Friendships are very important. In fact, I think that we can't survive without friendships. And so it's not completely absurd that you could have these patterns in your friendship and these anxieties. So what's happening is that this anxious tendency for not knowing if you're going to be emotionally safe, not knowing if you're loved, not knowing if you're always going to get approval is now coming up in your friendship. The reason that you could be acting this way in your friendships, you're always anxious, or you feel like you could always be left out, or you never know if your friends want to stay. Maybe you do things like send paragraphs to them, you just like beg for friendship to stay in your life. It's because you are craving emotional safety and intimacy and to be wanted and to be chosen and to be included so badly. Because you didn't get it over here in your childhood, you're now putting that on your friendships, and also could also be romantic relationships, and you were just dying to get it. Now, a lot of times, from what I have noticed as somebody who did have anxious attachment in their friendships, is you often also have it in your romantic relationships. It kind of just spreads from your childhood to like any other emotionally like intimate or like deep connection relationship. So this could also be something that you've noticed in your partners. A lot of the same principles do apply though when it comes to like healing this kind of stuff. I remember though, like in terms of going back to like what it looks like, I'm kind of remembering now, like when I was in high school, I used to have this one friend that I don't know why I just really liked as a friend, and I just remember like she probably felt like I was being a little claustrophobic, and like I would always want to see her, I would always want to text her all day, I would call her multiple times a day, I always wanted to hang out with her. Like I just wanted to know like she's my best friend, and the idea that like she would make other friends would kind of bother me. Like I wanted to be her number one because she was my number one. It was kind of like behaviors like that, and then like eventually sometimes those friendships end up running away because you're just filling them up too much. Like you are just being too much on them. Like they are allowed to have other friends. They don't want to feel like they can't have other friends. They don't want to feel like they're always letting you down. Maybe you're just literally being like, you are being a little clingy towards them. And the difference between friendships and the way that society has created romantic relationships is friendships are allowed to have multiple friends. Romantic relationships, like, you know, them seeing another woman is cheating, but in friendships it's not really like that, and different friendships can be for different things. So it's a little bit different in that way of like, you can't really have that controlling sense around friendships of like only wanting them for yourself. Like that's not healthy. So this takes us to number 3, which is how you're going to start healing this. And also how you're going to make other friendships that are genuine. You do not have to cut people off. You don't have to start over. You don't have to like let this get out of hand. You just need to learn to build internal emotional safety within yourself. Step number 1 to healing this is we need to pause the spiral. Now you could literally be in an anxious mode right now. Maybe a group chat's not answering you. Maybe you just saw that your friends are out hanging out without you. Oh, I know that feeling. That is the worst. It's gut wrenching. Maybe you see that your other friend has a closer friend. Maybe you just felt left out at school today or university or work or whatever, and you see that your group of friends is just like you don't feel included anymore. Breathe before overreacting. This isn't any situation that's triggering you. I need you to take a deep breath. Let's take it together. Do not assume everything is rejection. I know your mind could be spiraling. I know you could be thinking of a million reasons why this is rejection, but do not assume that everything is rejection all the time. Silence in a group chat, a friend not responding to you, people not seeing you, people hanging out with other people doesn't always mean it's about you and everyone's against you and you were not good enough and you were not rejected. Okay? Reframe the thoughts. If somebody's not answering you, your group chat's not answering, your friends are not responding, they're probably just busy. Like, let's be a little logical. Rather than they're mad at me, what did I do? What's the last thing I said? They don't want me anymore, I'm annoying. Let's just like be a little logical. And this only can happen when you kind of detach the emotion a little bit and you take a step back. This takes us to step number 2, which is just regulating your nervous system. The deep breathing is going to help with that. Your nervous system is in a fight or flight mode because it's perceiving your friends running away and your friends not answering you and your friends hanging out with you as literally a life-threatening situation. That's why you freak out and you can't think about anything else and it's like consuming you. You literally feel socially left out, and biologically, you know, we're made to be in communities. Human beings are made to be in packs, just like animals. And so when we feel ostracized, that's a literal threat to our life, because back in the freaking old age days, if you're on your own, you don't have a community, you're likely to die. That's literally what's happening to you. Your body, your nervous system goes nuts because it literally thinks like this is like a life or death situation. We need to calm down the nervous system before we can actually work on anything else. So you've done the deep breathing. Let's just like calm our heart rate down. Let's calm the anxieties down. Let's try to get our mind to not spiral. Pull out your journal. Let's write out how you're feeling. Let's get it out of your head onto a piece of paper. Let's do grounding exercises on what made you feel triggered. What did this person do and how does it make me feel? Let's go deeper than just my friends. I saw on Instagram that my friends are hanging out without me and I feel angry that they didn't invite me. Anger is not the deeper root. Why do you feel angry? How did it make you feel? What is it triggering in you? I saw on Instagram stories that my friends are hanging out, I felt angry. Beyond that, you know what? I felt sad. I felt sad because I wanted to be included and I care about those friends. I feel left out. I feel hurt. I feel hurt that maybe I'm not as important to them anymore. Ding, 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 ding. Not important. Not important. That not important, deep, 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 deep root feeling could be the one that's coming up from your childhood. When your parents didn't necessarily be always emotionally there for you, maybe you just didn't feel important. There you go. The connection is made. What's happening in with your friend group right now, making you feel not important, and you're having an anxiety spiral because that's how you felt in your childhood. Ding, 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 ding. So we need to work on feeling not important because that is within you. That is a problem you have. These external things that are happening, your friend group, relationships, are just triggering that feeling to come back up. The reason why you're having these spirals, or the reason why you're like this in friendships, is because you actually deep down have that void. You have that negative thought that you are not worthy or you are not enough. Now, this is just an example I'm giving you, but this could be some sort of negative self-belief that you have about yourself relating to your childhood. It could be anything. Also, when you're journaling, ask yourself, is this a fact or a feeling? I feel left out. I feel ostracized. I feel like I'm not worthy. Girl, what about these people hanging out with another person is making it a fact that I'm not worthy? None of these things, these deep negative self-thoughts that are going to come up about yourself, are facts. I can tell you that. Number 3, communicate authentically, not clingily. Say to yourself or to the person, sometimes when plans change or plans get canceled, I get anxious a little bit, but I'm working on it and I wanted to share that with you. A real friend, a mature human being will understand that statement. They might say to you, oh, it wasn't about you. I just changed plans. Like, I literally can't do this day, or this day doesn't work. It's nothing to do with you. And they're probably right. And to be honest, I think a lot of the time it's actually not even about us. We just take it that way. But just communicate with them nicely, not clingily, like, oh my God, I need to see you. Let your friends know that, like, you kind of have these tendencies, and sometimes, like, when you feel that you kind of feel left out and it just makes you sad and, like, you overthink things. But do it without blaming them. You're not blaming them for hanging out without you. Like, that's perfectly fine. Friends can hang out without you. You're not blaming your best friend for having another friend. You're not blaming people for not responding quick in a group chat. Like, we're not blaming people. You're just letting them know that you have these tendencies. Number 4, which I think is the most important step, is you need to build some inner security, because these are all kind of like band-aids or like short-term solutions to the problem. The main problem is how you feel about yourself and that childhood wound that you have. And now building an inner security it's kind of similar in the same way that you have to build inner security when you have anxious attachment in a romantic relationship, but it takes a lot of work, okay? And the way, if you have never ever even thought about this, is I want you to kind of reflect on, like, how did you feel in your childhood, and like what patterns could you have in your childhood from your parents, and how do you feel? And like, first, even just find, like, what is the wound that you have? What are the negative self-thoughts or beliefs that you have about yourself? For example, with me, I think in my childhood, I just felt like I was not important. And so then when people change plans on me, whether it's a friend, whether it's a man, when they don't call, when they don't text, like, it brings up that negative self-belief of that I'm not important. And so I need to work on feeling not important. And so what that looks like is reassuring myself every day with affirmations. Like, I am important. I am the star of my own life. I care about me. Even showing myself that I'm important by planning out days where I take care of myself. The same way you would want a partner to take care of you, you want a parent to take care of you, I now plan out nights where I just take care of my hair, I take care of my body, I take care of my mental, I invest in myself. That is showing myself that I am important. Do daily self-check-ins with you the same way you would go and check in with your best friend. And I know if you're anxiously attached, you put a lot of effort into your friendships. Check in with yourself. Be like, what do I need right now? Do I need a night alone? Do I need to reassure myself? Do I need to build up my confidence right now? Do I need to rest? Do I need to take myself on a solo date and treat myself right now? Rewrite the belief that your worth has been tied to. Your worth could have been tied to this belief that I'm not important, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable. Whatever that belief is that you are reflecting, you come up with, rewrite it every single freaking day. Tell yourself every single freaking day, I am important. I'm important to myself. I'm important to my friends. I'm important to my family. I'm important to the people that check on me every single day and show up and choose to want to hang out with me. Like, let's list the facts about how important I actually am, especially to myself. Start doing things like this with your negative self-belief, whether it's writing it out every day in a journal or it's telling yourself it in the mirror. Now, another thing that's really important is you need to create multiple sources of connection. You can't put this void in you of not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy or this like anxious attachment or this need for friendship or this dire need for connection onto one person or onto 2 people or onto 3 people. It also can't even just be on all people. You can't put it just on your partner, just like you can't put it all on your best friend, and you can't put it all on your brother, and you can't put it all on this one group of friends. Like, that's a lot of pressure, especially as someone who's anxiously attached. You have a lot of connection that you crave. You need to kind of diversify it. Your fulfillment, your happiness, happiness, your desire for connection can come from many different things. It can come from family members, you know, even if it's not your mom or your dad, maybe it's like a cousin. Like, it can come from a family member that you like and a family member that you have connection with and that fills you and that you love, you know, that you feel secure and you feel happy with, and you know that they're not going anywhere. It can be from friends. It can be from multiple friends. It can be from different types of friends. Friends that you go out with, friends that you read with, friends that you talk about a hobby with, friends that you have deep conversations with. Those can all fulfill you in different ways, and start to acknowledge that and lean into each of those, not just like one friend or one group. A romantic partner, if you have one, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. If you don't have one, you don't have one, that's fine. Also, hobbies. Your love for a hobby can also fulfill that need in you to have connection. Like, I feel so happy when I take dance classes. I grew up dancing. I'm not here to be a dancer, and neither am I the best dancer, but there is a sense of love that I feel for myself when I dance and when I'm in that flow state and I'm taking an hour class. Solo dates. Same way you want to go and do dates with your friends, or you want to do dates with a guy, like, take yourself out. I went to this super bougie dessert spot the other day and I was just romanticized it. You can get that love from within yourself. It's not always from external sources. Take yourself on a date, romanticize it, talk to yourself, be like, oh my god, I love this dessert. Which one do I want to get? This place is so pretty. This place is so aesthetic. Like, I just actually like my own company. There are a lot of other videos on solo dates, baby. And you can start small, even something that you would have done with your friends. Like, if there's a place that you've really wanted to go and eat, go to it. If your friends don't want to go to it by yourself. It'll show you that you can enjoy your own company, and that's another source of connection is within yourself. Personal goals is another thing. Like, set goals for yourself, and then when you achieve those goals, you will notice that you feel fulfilled in a different way. Like, maybe it's a gym goal. Maybe my goal is to go to the gym 3 times a week. Maybe my goal is to post 2 videos on TikTok this week. Maybe my goal is to try a new cooking class, to try a new skill, to start baking, whatever it is. Set a goal, because when you have other things that you're working on, you're actually getting validation and dopamine from doing those things as well. And so it's not all just like on other people or on a specific other person. Like, you are fulfilled and you have different sources of things that are feeding you and giving you connection. It's gonna actually take a lot of pressure off of things, and it's gonna make your friendships a lot better. Now, there is something that I actually wanted to touch on, which is called the third place. It kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm saying. This is a sociology concept that I recently learned about, surprisingly. And it's the idea that obviously, like, you get connection and you make friendships from work, school, things like that, right? Like, that's just like where you make most of your friendship. But I think when you hit a certain age, like me, I'm in my mid-20s, you no longer are really making like your best friends from school because maybe you graduated, or work or university. Like, do you know what I mean? And now obviously a lot of our community has moved online, but I still think that there is a big value in this place called the third place. The third place is like above school and work. Where are you meeting people who are like-minded and have similar interests as you? And this is for people who are maybe looking to seek friendship. It used to be a lot of like things like churches, religious organizations, because it has nothing to do with school and work, but there's a lot of like-minded people who are interested in the same thing, which is like organized religion. I think in our generation that could be an option. It's not as much as an option. There is also online, but I actually think it's really, really important to have a third place in your life that is bringing you connection and allowing you to meet like-minded people beyond school and work. This could be like joining a book club, looking for events in your city. Maybe you're really into crocheting and you literally join like a crocheting club and you meet like the bestest of friends there. Maybe you're like working out and you meet really good friends who you're really passionate about your diet and like certain types of workouts and Pilates, and you meet a lot of Pilates girlfriends. And now like you have another source of friends and you guys have something in common. Maybe it's your love for plants. Like, one of my friends was literally telling me yesterday, he's like a plant addict. You know, he does plant research, but he's really interested in certain things, and he found like this online community, and like now they meet in person and they like talk about plants. Like, literally the most randomest of things. You can find a third house that you are getting fulfillment with somebody who's common interests. I live in Toronto in the GTA, and so I am actually creating a third place in real life, which is these brown girl events that I'm going to be throwing once a month, and it's a community to meet other like-minded brown girls who are focused on self-development, brown girls who want to improve their lives, brown girls who want to be confident. And I am actually creating it. If that's something you're interested in, look in the description. I will post an update about my event. It happens once a month in the GTA, so definitely come. It actually sells out really quickly because there's a lot of you that are looking for places like this. Wherever you live, whatever you're interested in, look for a third place. When you get older, you're not always meeting like the same people or people with the same interests as much, and it can get kind of lonely, but you need to actively seek out these places and these activities and these groups and these meetups if you want to have fulfilling friendships for the rest of your life and make new friends. That takes us to the end of this video, but I do want to emphasize that friendship should never feel like a test that you're constantly failing. You deserve a connection that feels safe, but more importantly, you need to feel safe within yourself. Healing anxious attachment doesn't mean you become cold and distant and, oh, I'm only gonna like message someone when they message me, or I'm gonna distance myself from these people. It means choosing relationships that help you feel secure and not fearful. That takes me to the end of this video. I really hope that this video was helpful. I really hope that this gave you a perspective on how you are going to stop letting anxiety control your life, but also like just heal from this, which you can heal from it, and make good friends possibly and feel fulfilled. Everybody deserves to have good friendships in their life. I'm telling you, girly, I'm lucky enough that I've done this work and I now have very, very, very fulfilling friendships, and it's the most amazing thing ever. Okay, everybody needs this. I'm a girl's girl. Sometimes I think we need it more than we need men. If you don't know me, once again, my name is Neethi. I'm your everything older sister brown girl, advice, confidence, dating. I post 2 times a week on this channel. I also post shorter form content on my TikTok and my Instagram. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.